First of all, when he did his deal, he didn't want pay-per-view. He wasn't very confident in his abilities to sell pay-per-views.
It's not true. I asked for pay-per-view points. They specifically said we do not give pay-per-view points to flyweight guys. Here's the thing. Let's look at CM Punk. This guy comes in and gets a base salary of $500,000. There are also potential pay-per-view bonuses and other financial incentives included in his contract. I had to defend the belt 8 times. I can't even get this. And here's the thing too. What's going on, boys? Welcome back to the channel, and we got a brand new video to react to. Thank you to everybody who posts stuff in Discord. I'm always searching it. This is in the reaction section. This one is the victims of Dana White. It has my black ass, Francis' black ass, and Tyron Woodley's black ass, and Tito Ortiz ass. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and also hit the bell to know go live. And it's the first time I'm seeing this, so we're gonna react to it and see what it is.
Nobody's me off more than Tito Ortiz.
Ah, the good old days.
Make him look stupid.
At the time, they were in talks about getting rid of the flyweight division.
We've been talking about shutting down the flyweight division for about 3 years. He has the lowest selling pay-per-view in the history of the UFC.
Let's not go there, ladies and gentlemen, because I do not have the lowest selling pay-per-views in the UFC. Not anymore. Yeah.
Francis wants to take 0 risks, where he's got some Conor McGregor Mayweather fight, which he does not.
Everyone said he was an idiot for walking away from the UFC. Guy's about to make $10 million. Oh!
So you think about it. He does walk away from the UFC, and he just fought Anthony Joshua and made 20 million, and then he fought Tyson Fury, so he made $30 million. He would not make that in the UFC. I don't feel he would be able to make that in the UFC. Let's continue.
Tyson Fury goes down.
The fact that he went 10 rounds with Tyson Fury is crazy.
The fight game is one that very few have the courage to step foot into. It's 8-sided cage, the most unforgiving of places for any man or woman. When the cold steel fence rattles and the lights beam down, for those few minutes, the traditions of ancient history return once more. The gladiators of old, now athletes of the present. Lives are on the line, and those who reach the precipice of the sport sacrifice everything to get there. Blood, sweat, tears, and everything in between. It's important we respect and remember those who do so, but no one else will. In the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the fighters may provide the entertainment, but it's Dana White who holds all of the cards. The game is rigged, and as the saying goes, the house always wins. One singular press of a button, flick of his tongue, history can be rewritten entirely, reshaped into his own perfect vision. And if that means dismissing the esteemed history of some of MMA's greatest fighters, the boss has proven that's a decision he's willing to make. For those unlucky few who get on his wrong side, consequences are almost certain to follow. Scathing media call-outs, downplaying championship reigns, public mockeries, and in rare cases, even removal from the company entirely. These are the fighters Dana White erased. And if you like this type of content, maybe like or even subscribe.
Make sure you guys leave a like for Leo Cooper MMA.
Subscribe. Only a small percentage of people who watch these videos actually do, and this is the place to be for all of your MMA content. Demetrious Johnson.
Not
Mouse
me.
may be small in stature, but rest assured, his legacy is nigh unrivaled as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, mixed martial artist to ever grace the octagon. A 6-year tenure as the 125-pound champion, 11 title defenses, and a cemented stint as the pound-for-pound king. Being able to masterfully blend every fighting element together seamlessly, he ruled the division for years with an iron fist.
Demetrious Johnson, man, he is a tremendous athlete.
You look like Demetrious Johnson is probably right now the best
Ever.
The best ever, yeah, I agree. Like, man, when I talk about confidence and skills, man, what better guy than this?
Yeah.
Mighty Mouse, he just has very few holes.
When I see him doing the things, like, kicks like a fucking Thai dude.
He's like pouring water. This motherfucker just keep going distance. And he never stopped. I'm like, damn, dude.
And yet, the recognition from both casual fans and the company's higher-ups was something a fighter even as good as DJ couldn't achieve. In a sense, Johnson had broken the mold. In the fight game, showmanship and bravado is helpful, yet not necessarily needed. The simple art of war is the only thing needed to win the fans over and garner success. DJ had that in abundance. Name another man who can pull off this. The accolades may have been there, but the plaudits from spectators wasn't. Perhaps it was due to the nature and perceptions of the flyweight division. After all, for the longest time, the heavyweight golden age of combat sports left its mark on fans as the most exciting side. So to watch the other end of the spectrum was seen as boring or perhaps less exciting. Or maybe it was Demetrius' cordial attitude towards his opponents in the build-up, a mindset that men like Conor McGregor worked so hard to diminish. All of these factors became the ammunition Dana White would use to scold and control Mighty Mouse throughout his tenure as champion. It's no secret that contract disputes are commonplace in the UFC, and Demetrious, it was constantly at the...
I think the biggest thing when I sit here and watch all this stuff and I think about like when I would go to fight, like I felt like I was very entertaining. I felt like I always pushed the boundaries of trying to submit my opponents or knock them out, trying to display the best version of what every athlete wants to strive to be. As a mixed martial artist, you want to make sure you have no holes. I can clinch, I can wrestle, I can kickbox, I can Muay Thai, I can strike. So when I sit here and watch, I'm like, damn, I had a lot of amazing things in my career. But it's true. It never really did translate over into the mainstream media. Like I was on, the top best plays of ESPN. I was working out today and I saw Sugar Sean O'Malley on ESPN this morning at the gym. I have the same type of, I guess you say, media exposure, but it just didn't really translate over to pay-per-view buys. I don't know why it never did, but it's always something that we will always be wondering why it didn't.
forefront.
When I fought Dominic Cruz, I was under contract. I think I was fighting for, it was 14 and 14. And then I finally got a new contract as a champion, and I think it was 125 and 50, but I couldn't get pay-per-view points.
Because that's where you start making that next wealth, right? Like, shit, John Jones hasn't fought, what, 2-3 years?
Right.
And he's made all that money in pay-per-view points, so he has that opportunity to take 2 to 3 years off, right? So for me, I fought and fought and fought, and I was like, I want pay-per-view points.
The crux of his feud with Dana.
And that is true. I fought and fought and fought. They specifically said we do not give pay-per-view points to flyweight guys. They said that to me, and so when they did that, that's when I went ahead and took the 125 and 50 after I beat Joseph Benavidez in Sacramento for the second time when I knocked him out. I got the opportunity. I went through my whole contract as a champion. I got to renegotiate. I won pay-per-view points. He says, we don't give it to you guys. And that's when I went 125 and 50. Won another string, and then I fought Henry Cejudo. After I knocked out Henry Cejudo, they gave me $350,000 guarantee, go up every $10,000 as an escalator. And then finally, they put in my contract when I would break the record, or when I would, when I fought Henry Cejudo, they would give me pay-per-view points just for that one fight. But if you're a lightweight, or if you're, a welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight, I've been told, right, this is, from other champions' mouth, that once they became champion, they got $500,000 flat, and it went straight in their contract. They got pay-per-view points every single time. So when Conor became champion, he got $500,000 flat, pay-per-view points. John Jones, $500,000 flat, pay-per-view points, and some more. They disclosed they get $500,000 flat, but that's what they got. For me, it was never that. Like, if I would have got pay-per-view points every single one time I defended my belt, if I was on the John Jones, Conor McGregor card, Amanda Nunes, whatever it may be, yeah, it might not be, $800,000 extra check, but those extra, six-figure checks add up eventually. 11 consecutive title defenses. You put me on 3 Conor McGregor cards. Yeah. And it's not like I'm always gonna come out there and show my ass off. I'm gonna go out there and work my ass off. So let's continue.
He would be one of the very first to openly campaign for better pay in the company, which is even more impressive when you take into his account his status as a champion. At the peak of his powers, just prior to the Ray Borg fight in 2017, DJ would do what no one had done before: challenge the boss, but this time in an open letter to the public. A smoking barrel on a man who seemed to be unbreakable. But Dana, being who he was, simply couldn't back down.
First of all, when he did his deal, he didn't want pay-per-view. Right. He didn't want pay-per-view. He wanted upfront money, no pay-per-view. He wasn't very confident in his abilities to sell pay-per-views. He has the lowest selling pay-per-view in the history of the UFC. He's been talking about shutting down the flyweight division for about 3 years. The media claims he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Right. I think Conor McGregor is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
To denounce...
So, I remember Dana White telling me that in my face. We're hanging out. It was the UFC Fighter Summit. He was Destiny was getting high with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was there. He was drinking Bud Light. And he told me that. And he goes, I think Conor McGregor is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I was like, why, Dana? I was like, that's your opinion. He goes, because he'll fight anybody here and there. And I was like, that's the stupidest fucking way you can gauge somebody being the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So just because somebody's going to fight anybody, anyway, anytime, makes him the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, that's fucking absolutely stupid. Because I know 8 motherfuckers at a bar who'd fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, any place, for a measly ass check. What makes you the best pound fighter in the world is that you can cover every basis of a fight. Somebody tries to grapple me, I'm fucking them up. If they try to clinch me, I'm fucking them up. If we try to strike in Muay Thai, I'm fucking them up. And I've gone through my whole entire division. Conor's never defended the belt, not once, in the lightweight division or at 145. So that just shows you how he views people as powerful best fighter in the world. Food for thought.
DJ is one thing, but to threaten closing an entire division is another. It simply shows how far the feud had truly gone between the two. Eventually, DJ would leave the sport's premier promotion for good, and a company-first trade deal for ONE FC's Ben Askren.
And it was the best decision I've ever made in my whole entire career. If I can do it again, I would do it 10 times again. 10 times. Only up to the point when after I submitted my legacy in the UFC.
Well, we all know how that one went. DJ Wood and continues to find success atop the throne of a new kingdom, whilst Ben Askren... Dana may never mention his name in the list of all-time greats, but I most certainly will. Tyron Woodley.
And here's the thing. I have nothing against Dana White. I am a man who's happy. I've been successful. I believe my skill set. I believe I am one of the best flyweights to ever walk this planet Earth. And I don't think there'll be another person who can achieve what I have in the flyweight division. In North America, Asia, anywhere. I feel confident in saying that. And I'm happy to say it. Now let's move on to the next person, Tyron Woodley.
At first glance, it's hard to understand just what about former welterweight champion Tyron Woodley caused such...
Oh, and to back up, when Dana White says I didn't want pay-per-view points, it's not true. I asked for pay-per-view points. After I knocked out Joseph Benavidez, I said they gave me 125 plus 50,000. I mean, we can look at it right now. Let's see. We'll get back to this video, boys.
Such a major feud with Dana White.
I always have to try to do my best to do as best I can to give you the guys actual facts. Okay, UFC, I think it was Fox 8 salary. I believe that's when I fought Joseph Benavidez. Now Towers. It's Fox 8 salaries. This when I fought John Moraga. So yeah, I won. I was at 29,000. And 29,000 also got submission of the night. So I think it was UFC Fox 10. So let's go back. UFC Fox 10. Because I headlined a lot of UFC Fox. They didn't even put me on pay-per-view. They just kept putting me on fucking Fox. UFC Fox 10 salaries. UFC... Where the fuck's UFC on Fox 10? UFC on Fox 10 salary. UFC on Fox 31 salaries. Why is it so weird? It's being so hard to find it. Okay, we'll just do here. UFC Fox 31. UFC Johnson versus Benavidez 2 salary. Oops, salary. Okay. Oh, UFC Fox 9. Excuse me. Okay, your favorite shots are earned 6 figures. Okay, so shots are earned 175 includes, yeah, so I went 125 plus 50,000. That was my win bonus. They wouldn't give me pay-per-view points, right? So I went 125 50,000 plus pay-per-view points. They wouldn't give me pay-per-view points. And then eventually, but you know, here's the thing. Let's look at CM Punk. CM Punk. This guy, and I'm not hating, I'm just fucking shooting the facts. This guy comes in and gets a base salary of $500,000. There are also potential pay-per-view bonuses and other financial incentives included in his contract. I had to defend the fucking belt 8 times. I couldn't even get this. That's what I wanted. Right here. Give me that 500 bones plus fucking pay-per-view points. Especially, and here's the thing too. Let's say I did ask for pay-per-view points. Let's say I did, and they kept putting them on UFC Fox 13, UFC Fox 31, UFC Fox whatever the fuck it may be. You don't have a choice when you decide you get to fight. They offer you, hey, we have a card for you. You're gonna fight. Where did I fight Wilson Hayes at? What was that? Johnson versus Reyes. What was this? This was what? This was UFC Fox 24. So let's just say in a hypothetical way, I did have pay-per-view points, right? Let's go. Let's go to all the fucking fight cards I fought on. Let's go here. Demetrious Johnson. So let's say I had pay-per-view points. Okay, so I would have got pay-per-view points on. I became champion here. So no pay-per-view points. No pay-per-view points. No pay-per-view points. I would have got pay-per-view points here against Ali Bagatina, but it was just me headlining. I would have got pay-per-view points here. It was me, Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez here. I would have got pay-per-view points here. That was John Jones, I believe, on that one too. Would have got pay-per-view points here. I would have got pay-per-view points here. Jones versus St. Preux. No pay-per-view points. No pay-per-view points. Would have got pay-per-view points here. No pay-per-view points. Yes, this is the only one I actually got pay-per-view points. Then I went in here and started making big dick money. Okay, so let's continue to this one.
In his come up to the throne, a powerful wrestler with knockout power, the best of both worlds. But like others in this list, he simply failed to garner the love of the fans that others did, even in his ascendancy as the reigning champion. Being stained with the reputation as a boring fighter is one that is hard to shake, even despite Woodley's finishing records. Beef would come to the forefront of MMA news, most infamously following his rematch with Wonderboy Thompson, the first of which was an all-time classic. But White would certainly make his feelings known in the post-fight presser.
You know, when I was out doing a radio tour for this fight, I said, you've all seen the first fight. How can the second fight be not be good? So I guess it doesn't matter what the first fight was like. The second fight can be not as good. I like Tyron. You can't be upset if people or whatever now after that second fight. I mean, come on.
Woodley would playfully clap back in an interview with Ariel Helwani, refusing to back down.
Dana, you a drama queen. How about that?
What is that?
Dana White is the drama queen.
Say that again?
Dana White is the drama queen.
Oh, okay.
But the feud would hardly end there, as after another admittedly mundane win over BJJ ace Damian Maia, the post-fight verbal assault would begin.
It's easy to say a win is a win. When you get booed out of an arena, it means people don't want to watch you fight. You ask fans if they want to see Woodley fight again. I think that would be a flat-out no. Who wants to pay to see Tyron Woodley fight again? It's
to criticize.
I think the way to go about it is like, hey, you know, Tyron Woodley, he's a very exciting fighter. He came across an athlete that was very stifling in his game. Damian Maia, absolute amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he wasn't giving Tyron Woodley the opportunity to let his hands go. So, hey, you know what? Not every single one of Tyron Woodley's fights are going to be amazing like he was against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but hey, you know, he got the W. He did what he had to do to get the victory, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the future. That's how it should have been said, right? You don't want to bury the champion after he's trying to defend the belt and build his star. So if the CEO of a company is fucking bashing one of the champions, the fans, if Dana White says, you know, Bud Light's delicious, everybody and their mom's gonna think Bud Light's delicious. Not hypothetically, but I'm just saying, whatever the CEO says about the athletes or the company, people are going to believe it who aren't educated.
Just a fighter on the roster, but a current champion is a step too far in most people's eyes. As fans, a boring bout is certainly not ideal, but these people put their lives on the line. Fighting is their job and livelihood. Out of the cage can work wonders for garnering fans. It's a game of money, and not taking those unnecessary risks is understandable when you simply want to get paid. Shutting down the hype train of Darren Till when he was at the peak of his powers clearly upset the boss too. After all, the UFC would have had a bona fide superstar following in the footsteps of Conor McGregor if the match had gone the other way. But in the end, this chapter had Dana White the eventual victor, as Woodley would go on to fade into relative obscurity, losing to arguable division GOAT Kamaru Usman in his next defense and riding a further 3 losses to division mainstays. But his reign at the top should always command respect, even if Dana won't ever truly give it. 4 title defenses in one of the sport's most competitive divisions speaks for itself. A legacy worth remembering, just as long as you forget his rap career.
Topic of discussion. We ain't talking about the birds and the bees. We talking about my C's because they thinking they next. Hands up. Put your motherfucking pants up.
Francis Ngannou. Former heavyweight king Francis Ngannou is known for 2 things: his soft-spoken demeanor and hard-hitting fists. His name may as well appear under the dictionary definition of the word knockout.
With Francis Ngannou, it's very simple. Get comfortable with the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is he knocks you the fuck out.
And a matchup with Ngannou.
He possibly fractures a bone in your face.
It's over.
Rosenstrike is out.
Whoa. He hits people and they go into orbit.
Wow. Into the fire with Ngannou, you go to sleep. Oh my goodness.
As I said before, being able to finish your opponents brutally and consistently is all one needs to be successful in this sport, and Ngannou had that in abundance. And yet, in a similar way to Demetrious' case, he was thrown under the bus by Dana even when at the peak of his powers. Despite entering mixed martial arts at a late age, the dynamite in his hands and freak athleticism was more than enough to see him through, demolishing every man ahead of him in a run for a title shot. At this time, Dana saw the dollar signs as he does with many, aiming to cultivate MMA's very own Deontay Wilder.
Francis Ngannou has the world record for the most powerful punch. His punch is the equivalent to 96 horsepower, which is equal to getting hit by a Ford Escort going as fast as it can.
Champion Stipe Miocic was practically swept under the rug as an afterthought in the build-up. It would be the American who would prevail, withstanding the shots that no one else could and using his wrestling to claim a title defense. Ngannou was so often the hammer, but this one time he was the nail, and he would mark the first initial fracture in his relationship with Dana. After a scheduled matchup against Derek Lewis would be announced, a fight billed as the two hardest hitters clashing together. What resulted was admittedly one of the most boring fights to ever grace the octagon.
Unfortunately, I do remember that fight, and it was extremely boring. But hey, it's part of the game. Not every fight's gonna be a banger.
Whether it was a result of Ngannou's psychological weakness following
Derek Lewis lost, beat him.
But Dana would scold him all the same in the post-fight press conference.
Thoughts on Francis Ngannou? I mean, he had so much momentum behind him going into the Stipe fight.
Horrible. I think his ego ran away with him. Big time. I can tell you that his ego absolutely did run away with him. And the minute that happens to you in the fight game, you see what happens. Start to fall apart.
To question a man such as Francis's ego is harsh, especially when you consider the long and arduous road he took not just to be a professional fighter, but to even live a comfortable life. From the mines in Cameroon, the Predator quite literally came from nothing except sweat and sand.
I've always loved that about Francis, is that no matter how much, when this man walks around with, 6-figure watches, look at this man out here in the dirt, scooping it up. Love Francis.
Holding a dream of a better life. And he would find it with a level of humility and honesty that is rare to find in this sport. Now, Ngannou would find his way back to the top, eventually winning the coveted strap he had craved for so long. But tensions had risen. Francis would do what DJ had done once before, speak the truth. Ngannou would remain the UFC's heavyweight champ for the time being, facing French striker aficionado Cyril Gane in January of 2022. By now, this fight meant more than just a win or a loss on the record books. With one fight left on his deal, any chance of contract leverage he would have teetered on the outcome of this last scrap. Ngannou would.
So typically, if you guys don't know this, when you're a professional athlete in mixed martial arts, they want to, if you're a champion, they want to renegotiate when you have 2 fights left. Reason why is because, let's say Francis, like he won the final fight in his contract. He is the best fighter in the world. He's a champion. And if he doesn't accept what the UFC gives him, then the champion gets to walk for free after, the 90-day or whatever, the negotiation clause. And that's what he did.
Prevail. But the usual tradition of Dana wrapping the belt round his waist would not come to be. A clear sign of anger and frustration from the boss. As expected, both fighter and company wouldn't come to a contractual agreement, leaving Ngannou as a free agent in the sport despite being the best heavyweight on the planet. A crazy scenario, and one might say for Ngannou a gamble. This was certainly the way Dana would spin it, taking every opportunity to ridicule the decision.
We offered Francis a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in the history of the company. More than Lesnar, more than anybody. And he turned the deal down. I think Francis is in a place right now where he doesn't want to take a lot of risk. Feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money.
You're really telling me that this man is scared or doesn't want to take a risk?
Stop the cap.
Francis tell all bring to light the myriad of issues he had with the UFC, citing fighter pay, lack of medical insurance, as well as lack of sponsorships.
Fighter make promotion.
Of course.
Yeah, yes, promotion do help. They do help each other, but fighter make promotion. Recently, they signed a huge deal with Crypto.com.
And so what he means by this, let's say UFC signs a deal with Crypto.com, and the deal is like, let's just say it's $500 million. None of the fighters get any, from my understanding, none of the fighters will get any of that $500 million. The Bud Light deal, the Prime deal, all the deals that the UFC get to make, none of the fighters get it, right? And this is one of the things that Francis was griping about. And I agree with him, right? Like Dwight Howard told me, he went to a UFC fight. He goes, I don't know why you guys don't unionize. Do you think people are showing up to see the refs or the UFC brass people at these events. No, they're coming here to see you guys. When I play at the Staples Center in LA, do you think the fans are showing up to watch the refs play? No, the fans are showing up to watch the basketball players. That's why we have a union, right? I'll never forget those words when he told me that.
That was a good deal for them.
But Francis would have the last laugh in the end. Sure, his UFC career would be long gone, but a hefty free-reign contract with rival promotion PFL ensured he would be financially free, and for the first time, earning what he was truly worth. A boxing mega fight with Tyson Fury would then follow, a bout clearly organized with a monetary goal in mind. But as a 100-to-1 underdog, Francis would cement his legacy as a combat sports athlete by dropping the champion and narrowly losing on the scorecards in his professional debut. Francis didn't just have the last laugh, he had the victories he always knew he deserved. And of course, Dana would find a way to spin this one out of Ngannou's favor too, even if he had to begrudgingly give him some credit.
I didn't see the fight, but the fact that he went 10 rounds with Tyson Fury is crazy. I didn't see the fight, but the fact that he went 10 rounds is unbelievable.
Tito Ortiz.
Bad
Alongside
boy.
Chuck Liddell, Ortiz was arguably the UFC's first true star back in the dark ages of the game. 5 title defenses of the light heavyweight throne by late 2002. In summary, he was a pioneer. And whilst he may be dumb as rocks, he can certainly throw down.
Talked about the lion, king of the jungle, this huge lion with a big giant mane in this hot, smothering weather in Africa. And the little small lions come up, kind of poke at him, bite on his ear, bite on his neck. The lioness comes over and bugs him. Then you got the jackals and the rest of the wilderness looking and seeing these lions on that mountaintop. And they sit back. They got jackals like this. Just think it's a comedy.
Now, this would culminate in a wholly unique situation compared to the others on this list. This feud would go so far as to become an organized boxing match between Dana and Tito to settle their differences.
And I would have to say that nobody's pissed me off more than Tito Ortiz.
Did you really think that you would beat Tito Ortiz in a boxing match?
I knew it, and so did he. That's why it didn't happen. In a boxing match, I was going to fuck him up and make him look stupid.
This was serious. At least
I remember when Dana White was training for this boxing match too. I remember he was like, "Oh, we're gonna box." I remember it.
On Dana's side, going through all of the hallmarks of a professional bout with a proper commission and even a weigh-in that Dana would make at 197 pounds. But remarkably, it was Ortiz of all people who would pull a no-show. Just over a year later, following his loss to Lyoto Machida at UFC 84, tensions would come to a head once more in a press conference that resulted in Ortiz leaving the company entirely.
I don't want to be doing a 20-year span of murder myself trying to make $1 million.
And a lot of these other guys do. That's not the way they look at it.
They look at it just slaves for you, man. That's what it comes down to. That's all they care.
That's what all these guys feel like, slaves.
No.
These guys are competitors who come in here and want to prove that they're the best. Some of them fight 3-4 times a year.
Because you're going to make them a superstar.
Because this is what they want to be.
That's your quote words.
No,
I'm going to make you a superstar.
You're the one that wants to be a superstar. These guys want to be fighters. That's the difference.
Okay.
The two would eventually reconcile a year later, with Tito rejoining the company. The bad blood always remained, long after Ortiz retired.
What was the most satisfying victory for you out of any UFC fight? When Chuck Liddell knocked Tito Ortiz out, that was my favorite moment that has ever happened in UFC history.
Well,
nobody's me off.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a fun watch. Thank you guys so much for dropping us in Discord. And if you guys like it, make sure you like, subscribe, and also hit the bell. Make sure you guys will give this gentleman a follow. His name is Leo Cooper MMA. I'll give it a like, and you guys subscribe if you want. But boys, appreciate you guys. GG's.